Welcome back to another episode of the Inquisitive Mamba podcast. I hope everyone is having a great day, great night, wherever you are around the world. We don't have Max joining us tonight. He's got some stuff going on, but we're going to ride solo. We're going to do this. But make sure before we start this show officially, make sure to hit that subscribe button on YouTube, the Inquisitive Mamba podcast. Hit that follow button on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And without further ado, let's get into tonight's show. Tonight's show, we are talking about week 2 recap of the NFL. Bryce Young's benched. The Vikings are 2-0. The Niners injuries. The Chiefs look like the best team in the NFL. We're talking some college football as well. A week 3 recap of college football. A lot going on in college football. Arch Manning makes his debut. Quinn Ewers gets hurt. A lot going on in the NFL. Some Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce stuff. So let's get right into it, right? So how about that week 2 of the NFL? I mean, oh my goodness. The Chiefs and the Bengals game. What a game that was. Great game overall. Bengals look like one of the best teams in the NFL against the Chiefs. It's so weird how the Bengals and the Chiefs match up against one another. It's like you can take away all their other games, but then when they come to play one another, it's like a total different feel. It's almost like two juggernauts going up and at it, and they don't know what to do with themselves. So like we're too good for each other, right? Well, we got to settle this on the field. Great game overall. Monday night's game, the Eagles and the Falcons, that was a great game as well. It was so back and forth. We also did a recap on that. Check that out on our YouTube, The Inquisitive Mamba. But that was a great game. I don't know what the Eagles were thinking going for it on 4th and 4 in the first quarter. They lost some points there. Kirk Cousins and the Falcons did not go away that entire game, but we're not going to talk about that recap because we already did that one. But let's run down these NFL scores real quick. Miami ended up losing to Buffalo 31-10. Vegas beat the Ravens in a surprising comeback. I was shocked that the Raiders ended up winning that game. I actually even bet on that game, but I was shocked that the Raiders even won that game. Max Crosby is an absolute dog. I mean, he is everywhere. I love that Raiders defensive line. Christian Wilkins and Max Crosby paired together. It's a nice little duo there. Ravens 0-2. Who would have thought the Ravens would be 0-2? Cleveland and Jacksonville, that was a teeter-totter back and forth type game. 18-13, the Browns ended up winning. The Deshaun Watson haters, including myself, can be silenced for this week at least. Trevor Lawrence took that blunder safety late in the fourth quarter. Jets ended up beating the Titans. They got their first win for Aaron Rodgers. I love that duo with Braylon Allen and Bryce Hall. That duo right there, they're going to be a problem. Patriots play the Jets tomorrow night. The Patriots are banged up, so that'll be a good week 3 kickoff there. I'm assuming low scoring. Vikings ended up beating the Niners. No Christian McCaffrey, as we know that. Vikings ended up winning 23-17. Jefferson had a day himself. Chargers beat the Panthers. That's almost becoming a free spot on the bingo board. We're going to get to Bryce Young and the benching situation. Not yet, but we will get there. Chargers won 26-3. Seattle beat New England 23-20. But there was a play from the Seahawks and the Patriots game that I really wanted to talk about. It was Jonathan Jones and Tyler Lockett, and there was a pass interference call. That is not pass interference. The refs, this is my thing about the NFL refs. They need to be held accountable for their actions. That is 100% not pass interference. You can't control the outcome of a game. It's almost like how people have been talking about, like, well, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris when they debated. It's like the moderators are not supposed to be the ones that have the effect on the debate. The refs should not have any effect on this game like that at all. Let the players play. That's not pass interference. And it's even funny because Tyler Lockett even came out after the game and said, Jonathan Jones and the Patriots, you guys got screwed. That was not pass interference. This is my thing about the refs. If you're going to hold a player accountable, if you're going to fine a player, you should fine a ref. You should suspend a ref. So this is my proposition here. NFL refs need to be fined or suspended if they have an egregious call and they go back to New York or they review it afterwards later in the week or even after the game, and it comes out with the conclusional evidence that there is no pass interference, there is no holding, there is no roughing the passer, mainly pass interference because that's the main one that really I feel has the effect on the game. They should be held accountable. They should be punished. They should be fined or even suspended, because you're taken away from the game for these players when it's not pass interference. I know refs are not perfect. I know the zebras, the stripes, they can't make every single call. But in that situation there, that is deciding the outcome of the game. This is a close, tight-knit game between two teams here battling it out, and the refs have to call pass interference there. These refs need to do better. The Saints ended up beating the Cowboys 44-19. The Cowboys rolled over the Browns in week 1. Clearly, they didn't roll over the Saints in week 2. The Saints have the highest powered offense in the NFL these first 2 weeks. I mean, they have been on a tear. Derek Carr has 4 touchdowns, and he is putting himself in the MVP conversation. I know it's early, but if he continues to play like this, he could potentially put himself in that conversation. Bucks got their revenge on the Lions from last year's playoffs. They won 20-16. Great game for the Bucks and their fans. Green Bay beat Indy. That was a dreadful game to watch. I still can't figure out Anthony Richardson. I do like Anthony Richardson as a Florida Gator alum, but I mean, it's there's still a lot of time left. He's still really young. There's a lot of missing pieces on that offense. Their offensive line isn't the greatest. They don't have the most skilled position players. So I'm not gonna say Anthony Richardson is a bust yet. There's a lot of time left, but Malik Willis got the win. Josh Jacobs, he balled out for the Packers, but moving on to the Cardinals and the Rams. Cardinals 41, Rams 10. The Rams are banged up right now. It was crazy because it's the NFL. It's week to week, right? It's like all these injuries happen. Look what's going on with the Niners. They lost Debo. They lost McCaffrey. We've seen that story with the Niners before. They've been banged up. But sticking here on this Cardinals and Rams game, the injuries are starting to, pile up for the Rams. You lost Nakua. You lost Cooper Kupp. Some of your offensive line is banged up as well. So when you sit there and you go, is there still a possibility we can still compete in this season? I mean, after week 1, I thought they'd be, a very tough out in the playoffs. But if they continue to, pile up these injuries, they're going to find themselves into a top 5 pick. And then that question remains is, will the Rams bring back Matthew Stafford next year? Because he's only owed $4 million. Cooper Kupp is getting up there in age. So the Rams window could be closing before our very own eyes. And it sucks because they're such a fun team to watch when fully healthy. I love that motion offense. I love McVay's play calling. But, as age starts to catch up to them, I mean, they lost Aaron Donald this offseason. He retired. They've traded away some other guys. They traded away Jalen Ramsey. They've lost other pieces. So, the Rams clock could be ticking, and, we'll see how the rest of the season plays out. But tough blow for Rams fans because Nakua, Goff, and Stafford are really fun to watch. Moving on to the Steelers and the Broncos game, 13-6 from the Steelers and the Broncos. Dreadful game to watch. I didn't even watch that game. There was really no point. We talked about the Kansas City and the Cincinnati game. We had that recap live as well, so go check that out. That one is on YouTube. Falcons Eagles is our last game. So we talked a little bit about the NFL with a recap of the week and the scoring, but I want to stick here on Bryce Young. So the whole situation with Bryce Young is, oh my gosh, the Panthers are going to draft Bryce Young at number 1. They should have drafted CJ Stroud. They should have, woulda, coulda, David Tepper. The Carolina Panthers have failed Bryce Young. This is not on Bryce Young. I hate to say this, but it's not on him. And it sucks because in the NFL, these quarterbacks are judged on a week-to-week basis. His leash is short. It's gone, right? I don't think Bryce Young will start another game for the Panthers unless Andy Dalton gets hurt or unless Andy Dalton completely stinks it up. Bryce Young's time in Carolina is done. And shame on the Panthers organization for allowing this to happen. You fired your coach last year in Matt Rule, and then you go and hire Dave Canales, the former Bucs offensive coordinator, and now all of a sudden you're going to bench Bryce Young after 2 games. Now, I understand Bryce Young's stats and records, and they're not the greatest, and they're arguably the worst in the NFL throughout his first 18 starts. But when you sit there and you don't give him any weapons, you don't give him any pieces, and you're not uplifting him, and then your owner last year, David Tepper, is basically sitting there saying we should have drafted CJ Stroud. What do you think that does to a QB's confidence? What do you think that does? Bryce Young doesn't want any part of the Panthers. Why would he? Now, I saw a clip of him recording, a clip of him walking. He was signing autographs for fans going to practice. Good for Bryce Young, but this is a Heisman Trophy winner. And now I know everyone says the Heismans don't matter in the NFL. This is a guy who was great in college. Yeah, okay, college doesn't matter, but a lot of guys do translate over. And I still think Bryce Young does have a chance left in this NFL. You saw Baker Mayfield. You saw Sam Darnold. They left the Panthers. And now they're doing much better. The Panthers right now are just in a terrible spot. You traded away all your talent. You traded away McCaffrey. You traded away Brian Burns. You traded away DJ Moore. And Bryce Young is left with what? What are you building around Bryce Young? Isn't the whole goal and the whole point to build around your young rookie quarterback or your young quarterback? He's not a rookie anymore. But this kills his confidence. And now these Panthers head coach Dave Canales said, we're not going to trade Bryce Young. Well, they shouldn't trade Bryce Young. But if I was Bryce Young, I wouldn't want to be there anymore. I would be like, you know what? I'm not going to say trade me, but I'll sit there and I'll have to learn under Andy Dalton again. I'm sure he'll get some more experience and learn under Andy Dalton. But when this season is over, if I'm Bryce Young, I want out. You failed me. I haven't even been able to prove myself. Now, I'm not saying Bryce Young has had the greatest stats because he hasn't. He hasn't lived up to what he's supposed to be. But when you sit there and you don't really surround him with any talent, it's kind of hard to really judge him. No, let's bring this into the conversation here. I saw a thing where they were talking about Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, CJ Stroud. Could any of those quarterbacks survive in Carolina with what they have? I mean, we all had that conversation when Patrick Mahomes got drafted by the Chiefs and then he, went on his merry way and now he's won 3 Super Bowls. But if they would say like the worst team in the NFL, like right, the Panthers are the worst team in the NFL. At the time, it was like the Browns for the Chiefs. If you put Patrick Mahomes on the Chiefs or on the Browns at that time, would Patrick Mahomes be as good as he is now? If you take away Patrick Mahomes' weapons, if you take away his head coach, Andy Reid, who is arguably the greatest coach in NFL history, would Patrick Mahomes still be the same quarterback? That question has to be answered. I'm going to say no. Patrick Mahomes is raw. He's skilled. He's talented. He's got the arm. He's got the mobility. Bryce Young is very undersized. He's not as athletic. He's kind of nimble. It was compared to Russell Wilson, but I know we talk about Kyler Murray and we talk about Bryce Young and the comparisons and Drew Brees and Russell Wilson and those small quarterbacks. Bryce Young is very undersized, but so are those guys. But Bryce Young is not the most athletic guy, but there's really been no improvement and no growth for Bryce Young. Yes, of course, he's undersized, but it's really hard to sit there. And they love the CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, who's better. The Panthers should have drafted CJ Stroud. They shouldn't have drafted Bryce Young. And would CJ Stroud be doing this if he was in Carolina? No, CJ Stroud would not be doing what he's doing in Houston with what he'd be doing in Carolina. No way. D'Amico Ryans is a great young head coach. They have pieces. They went out and they actually built around their rookie quarterback. And they even, got lucky because they were able to get Will Anderson. They made the really smart trades. So Bryce Young really hasn't had any help. But that's my whole rant about Bryce Young. It's really frustrating to see, a young rookie quarterback kind of be thrown to the wolves. But I really want to briefly move on here. Actually, before we do that, we got to pull up Jamarcus Russell's and Bryce Young's stats. So Bryce Young is at a 59.3 completion percentage. Russell's 53.3, 3,122 yards and 11 touchdowns, 13 picks, and a 70.9 QB or passer rating. Russell's the same, very similar to Bryce Young. Let's not compare Jamarcus Russell and Bryce Young. It's 2 different eras. One guy is a lot bigger compared to the other guy who's a lot smaller. So I think that's a stupid comparison. I don't think Bryce Young is a bust quite yet. Give him some time. I don't think he's done in Carolina. I really hope he doesn't. I really hope Bryce Young gets another opportunity to really showcase his skills and his talent because you haven't surrounded him with anything. Done ranting about Bryce Young, but I really wanted to bring another conversation here into this. We're going to move on to the WNBA here very briefly. Caitlin Clark versus Sheryl Swoopes. Sheryl Swoopes, if you guys don't know her, she was in the WNBA for quite some time, but clearly she doesn't like Caitlin Clark because she can't admit it. I mean, she's come out on podcasts, she's come out on this, and she won't do broadcasts. So she's come out on podcasts basically saying that Caitlin Clark is not dominating as a rookie. What do you mean Caitlin Clark isn't dominating as a rookie? Let's pull up Sheryl Swoopes and Caitlin Clark's stats side by side. 39 games played compared to 32 for Sheryl Swoopes' best season compared to Caitlin Clark's best season. Here we go. 19.5 points per game for Caitlin Clark and 18.5 for Sheryl Swoopes. Let's wash away the graphics. Let's wash away the stats. What Caitlin Clark has done for the WNBA, Sheryl Swoopes was never able to do that in her long basketball career. She is just simply hating on Caitlin Clark because of her aura, what she has brought to the table. The WNBA now is going to be they're doing an expansion team and they're going to be expanding to 14 teams now. So when Sheryl Swoopes sit here, she is just simply hating on Caitlin Clark. The game has never seen a player like her. And she said, oh, well, I don't think that Caitlin Clark is really dominating as a rookie. She's the only rookie to ever record a triple-double. I mean, look at her stats. I shouldn't even have to talk about her stats because they're right out there. What she has done for the WNBA is remarkable. These are hella good numbers, but to me, that's not dominating, Swoop said on Gilbert Arenas' podcast when Gilbert basically rattled off Caitlin's statistics this season. I think Sheryl Swoopes is jealous of Caitlin Clark and what she has brought to the table because I think there's another rookie in the WNBA that she thinks is more impactful or who she likes better. And I'm not going to bring that part into the conversation. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about, but it's Angel Reese. She wants to try to put Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark on the same metric, on the same scale. Absolutely not. Caitlin Clark is here and Angel Reese is here. There you go. Let's put that in the camera shot for you guys. But she is the only WNBA in history to average these numbers or better, Caitlin Clark, in her rookie season. She is averaging 19.5 points per game, WNBA leading assists as a rookie. She's leading the WNBA in assists, 8.4, 5.7 rebounds per game. She's already set the WNBA single season record and single season rookie scoring record, becoming the first rookie to ever record a triple double, as exactly what I just said. No other WNBA rookie has ever recorded a triple double. So, Sheryl Swoopes, you're going to sit here and tell me that Caitlin Clark hasn't dominated this WNBA season? I think because in her mind, she's thinking more about A'ja Wilson. A'ja Wilson is in a class of her own, but let's not sit here and say Caitlin Clark shouldn't be in the WNBA MVP conversation. No, she's not going to win it, but to sit here and discredit her for what she's done or what she's brought to the WNBA, these women out there would never even have this opportunity if it wasn't for Caitlin Clark, with their brand deals, with their sponsorships, with their presence on the court, with their social media. Caitlin Clark has brought all of this to light, and now they're going to be adding another expansion team because of her. You can thank Caitlin. You can Sheryl Swoopes. You can thank Caitlin Clark for what she's done for the WNBA in this one season. She's only a rookie. Imagine what she's going to do in her second, third, fourth, fifth year. Sheryl Swoopes, your argument, you're discredited 100%. Sheryl Swoopes, in your 324 game career, you averaged 15 points, 4.9 rebounds, and 3.2 assists. Now, I know the game is totally different from when you played, Sheryl Swoopes, but to where it is now. But Caitlin Clark will have a better career than you when it's all said and done. Your best season came in 2000 when you averaged 20.7 points, 6.3 rebounds, and 3.8 assists. Caitlin Clark is basically doing that in her rookie season. Sheryl Swoopes, you're a hater. It's very obvious. Everyone would say that Swoopes was a dominant player during her day, but Clark's rookie numbers basically match up. Exactly. So that's my little WNBA take there between Sheryl Swoopes and Caitlin Clark, and how Caitlin Clark hasn't, if you don't want to say she hasn't dominated this WNBA season, okay, fine. But her effect, what she has done for this Indiana Fever team, who are 1-8 to start the season, and thank goodness for the Olympic All-Star break, because Caitlin Clark has come out like a whole new player, along with her teammates Kelsey Mitchell, along with Leah Boston, along with Lexi Hull, along with Melissa Smith. Their little core they have there is really fun to watch, and they're only going to get better. So continue to hate on the Fever all you want, Sheryl Swoopes, especially Caitlin Clark, because you had to single her out compared to other players. But let's also bring this one into the conversation before we wrap up with the WNBA. Let's bring in Angel Reese's stats compared to Caitlin Clark's stats and put them side by side. There is no comparison. There is no graphic you can put up, where the only thing that Angel Reese has over Caitlin Clark is rebounds. And we all know Angel Reese's rebound record and this and that. She's throwing the ball up once, she's getting it again. Caitlin Clark's actually putting the effect on the game for her team. We're done talking about the WNBA. Let's talk a little bit briefly about college football. The new college football rankings came out this week, and Texas is number 1, as they should be. Georgia almost lost to Kentucky in Lexington on the road. They almost lost. They ended up winning 13-12. They were in a tough battle. Alabama and Georgia are going to square off next weekend in Tuscaloosa. That's going to be a great game. But yes, the rankings are Texas 1, Georgia 2, Ohio State 3, Alabama 4, Ole Miss 5, Tennessee 6, Missouri 7, Miami 8, Oregon 9, and Penn State 10. Really, I'm only focused on the top 5 here with Ole Miss, Bama, Ohio State, Georgia, and Texas. But anyone who says the SEC doesn't run college football, are you sure about that? Because Texas is now in the SEC, Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss. Out of the top 5 teams, 4 out of the top 5 teams are ranked in for the SEC. So you're going to sit here and say the SEC doesn't run college football? You might be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I know I'm wearing a Lucky Charms shirt right now, but trust me, the SEC runs college football. It always has, and it always will, especially now with NIL. But sticking here on, I cannot wait for that Alabama-Georgia game next weekend. Also, too, Texas. Quinn Ewers got hurt. He's week to week with an abdominal strain. He got hurt against UTSA, and Arch Manning finally made his debut. Just a little fun fact out there for you guys. Arch Manning was faster than Tyreek Hill on his long run in that UTSA game. So hats off to Arch. It was cool to watch him play. But if Texas wants to win a national championship, they're going to need Quinn Ewers. And I think they could play it safe, because until they play Georgia, I don't know their exact schedule, like to pull it up. I know they play Georgia at some point during this season, but it's going to be a fun rest of the season with this top 5 in Texas and how they plan out, because, I mean, they definitely are a national championship. I mean, I don't know if they're the favorite to win the national championship. I know they're 1 right now. I would still give Georgia the nod, just because especially coming off of last year and what they've done already. And it is very tough to win in the SEC on the road. Texas will start to see that because Texas got to play Georgia, but Alabama and Georgia will square off next weekend. That's going to be, two juggernauts going up and at it. But Ole Miss is, kind of creeping around there as well. They've looked really good. Tennessee will play Oklahoma this week. A little SEC showdown. That'll be a really good one. I think it's Tennessee's first true test. Nico Ilamale, the quarterback. I don't know how to pronounce his name, so don't give me any flack for it. But moving on to USC and Michigan, that is going to be a great game. Miller Moss and Davis Warren going up and at it in the Big House. USC's first true test against their Big Ten opponent, Lincoln Riley and Sharon Moore. It's going to be a great game. I'm excited to watch that. And then you got Utah and Oklahoma State, the battle of the 7th round QBs. Not a ton of big games in college football this weekend, really gearing up for the Bama Georgia game next weekend, but we got those 4 there. Those 3 there, a little preview. Those will be some good games there, but I'm excited for the USC Michigan game. I'm pretty sure USC had a week. I think they had a week off last weekend, if I'm not mistaken. But Michigan, let's see if they can kind of roll back, because they got punched in the mouth by Texas, 2 weeks ago. So that'll be a good one there. But let's talk about this one here. Shedeur Sanders, he's back in the media. He's back in the spotlight. Him and Braden Fowler-Nicolosi, which Braden Fowler-Nicolosi is Colorado State's quarterback. They had some previous exchanges before the game even started on Instagram, and get your followers up and get this and that. But when the game is over, Shedeur Sanders, shouldn't you be shaking his hand? He's walking up and he's doing this and he's pointing at him and stuff, but the game's already over, right? We've all played sportsmanship conduct, whatever, however you want to slice it, but the game's over. You should be shaking his hand. It's over and done with. I think Shedeur Sanders knew that this was going to happen. I mean, obviously they're going to, be right next to each other shaking hands, or if they're not, post game. But Shedeur Sanders, you should be trying to be the bigger person, because if you shake his hand, then it doesn't look as bad as what he made it out to be. So that one really kind of irked me there. I'm like, he's got to do it again. He's got to make himself feel like he's the bigger man or whatever. After the game, I said something to the Colorado State quarterback because he was talking crazy on social media and he was doing it for the clicks. You don't do stuff for clicks, Shedeur Sanders. Yeah, I said something because I'm human. You're not going to keep talking crazy about us and keep talking crazy like that, and the whole time you not like that at all. Just squash it. The game's over. It shouldn't even matter. You focus caring about that beef is the problem. That's why people don't like Colorado, is because of the whole show and all this and that. But I thought it was stupid, honestly. And then Shedeur goes, of course, the media tried to portray it like I did something wrong. Well, yeah, Shedeur, you did something wrong, because all you had to do was shake hands and none of this would have happened. That was the whole thing. All you had to do was shake his hand. The game's over. You don't have to make a whole show out of it and point at him and then get all smiley and cocky at him. All you got to do is shake his hand and it's over from there. But I think that kind of wraps it up for college football there. But I wanted to move on to this, go back to the NFL here. So the NFL, of course, this offseason has implemented the Guardian Cap. If you guys don't know what the Guardian Cap is, players allowed to wear it in practice, also during games, and they can protect their heads. And actually, it's kind of cool here because Cyril Grayson Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, he's the Browns linebacker. He said he decided to wear the cap after being hit during the game, and I kind of felt it a little bit. He said, I'm like, man, let me try this Guardian Cap and see what it's all about. After wearing it, I didn't really feel anything on the hit. So I'm all for player safety too. And just a graphic here. 50 number of concussions decreased by 50% when they wear the caps during practice. I mean, obviously football is a dangerous sport, but I'm all for the Guardian Caps, and people are hating on it, saying they look foolish and stuff. I don't think there's anything wrong with the Guardian Caps. I think, player safety is super important, and I think more players should wear the Guardian Caps. It's not really affecting as long as it's not affecting their play. Jabril Peppers of the Patriots, he wears one. I've seen a couple other players wear them as well. And actually too, here you go. Kylan Granson, the tight end for the Colts, he said, why I wear the protective equipment? Why would I not add a safety measure on my helmet? Anything I can do to mitigate any sort of brain injury or long-term effects that would be detrimental to me takes precedent. Yeah, I mean, I don't have an issue with these at all. If they're working, why not continue to go for them? But I told you guys I'm coming back to the NFL. I really wanted to bring this point up here. The Caleb Williams, CJ Stroud post-game interaction after the game. Everyone was upset because Caleb Williams kind of looked like he mean mugged CJ Stroud. And that situation there, when the game is over, I don't think you really want to talk to the opposing quarterback. I don't think Caleb Williams really did anything wrong. I understand CJ Stroud was giving him advice, but I think excuse me, people are blowing it up and making it a bigger deal than really what it has to be. I mean, he did listen to him, but he's also has a million cameras around him. We've also seen some of the stuff that Caleb Williams has said on camera. I don't think he really wanted to be caught. I'm sure that they have in a private moment, it may have been different. Now, of course, Caleb Williams, could have listened to him a little better, taken advice from him or whatever, but you did just lose the game. You just got sacked, what, 8 or 9 times during that game against the Texans. But CJ Stroud, credit to him, hats off to him, giving him some advice. You're going to be a hell of a player in this league, but people are making it a bigger deal than really what it needs to be. Caleb Williams didn't do anything wrong, and good on CJ Stroud for kind of coming up to him and, giving him the praise and giving him advice, because Caleb Williams is a rookie and CJ Stroud was a rookie last year. People are making this, trying to make something out of nothing. This is not a big deal. It's just two players. Other players, I'm sure, have had similar situations. Caleb Williams is not a bad guy. I hate the whole narrative of trying to make players out to be worse than what they are. It's just a football game at the end of the day, and they're just two quarterbacks. Stop making it a bigger deal than really what it has to be. But here, this is a good one here. Travis Kelce has only 39 yards receiving in 2 games. Is it the Taylor Swift effect? No, it has nothing to do with Taylor Swift and her and them dating. It's about the Chiefs have a lot of other offensive weapons, and it's only 2 games in. And let's also too put this into play. Travis Kelce is also 36 years old. He's not getting any younger. This is his 12th season. It has nothing to do. I'm sure Travis Kelce will figure it out throughout maybe even next game, this upcoming Sunday against the Falcons. It has nothing to do with Taylor Swift. Oh, Travis Kelce's slowing down because he's dating Taylor Swift. Oh, Travis Kelce's washed. No, there's a lot of other offensive weapons on the Chiefs. Xavier Worthy, Pacheco just got hurt, but there's a lot of different mixes and matches that the Chiefs have on offense. And defensive coordinators are going to game plan for Travis Kelce when they know he's Patrick Mahomes' favorite target. He's been in the NFL this is coming up on this is his 12th official season. It has nothing to do with Taylor Swift. I could totally see this season playing out. The Chiefs get into the postseason, and Travis Kelce even has a great few games in the postseason, or Sunday night when the Falcons play and they don't game plan the way they should have for Travis Kelce, and Travis Kelce does really well, or he gets a touchdown. So Travis Kelce is not washed. He wouldn't be coming into this season if he wasn't fully wanting to play. So let's shut that narrative down right now. It has nothing to do with Taylor Swift. Defensive coordinators have game plan for Travis Kelce week in and week out. And yeah, age is going to catch up to Travis Kelce. He's not as young anymore, but has nothing to do with Taylor Swift. It is not the Taylor Swift effect. And he's the highest paid tight end in the NFL. He's slowing down, and he's 22nd in receiving yards. No. Travis Kelce will be just fine. It's a week-to-week basis in the NFL. Some coordinators plan for different things compared to other defensive coordinators. The Bengals have a great defense. They knew coming into the game that they were trying to make sure Travis Kelce wasn't going to be open. They did a really good job on him because he only had 5 yards. And at week 1 against the Ravens, they game planned for him as well. It's a matchup thing. It's a week-to-week thing. The Falcons could completely blunder, and Travis Kelce could go off this week, and everyone says, oh my God, Travis Kelce's not washed anymore. Right, because he's not. So anyways, what else do we got here? Let's see. We talked about a lot. I think, honestly, to wrap it up, the best way to let's talk about this one here. Is Justin Tucker washed? No, Justin Tucker is not washed. I saw this graphic, and Justin Tucker 71% makes from 50 yards plus from 2012 to 2022. He's 14% from 50 yards in the last 2 years. I mean, Justin Tucker's getting older, but also too, let's not sit here and say the NFL is an easy game and it's really easy to go kick 50 to 60 yard field goals. This is also a guy who has the NFL record for the longest kick in NFL history. I think it's at 66. That was against the Lions a few years ago. But no, Justin Tucker's not washed. He's still a consistent kicker. So people, let's shut that narrative right down. Justin Tucker is not washed. He's just fine. I hate that whole argument. But hey, I'll tell a kicker though. The Chiefs are lucky to have Harrison Butker. Harrison Butker right now is the best kicker in the NFL, and fans don't like Harrison Butker because their feelings get hurt. Well, Harrison Butker's out there to win the Chiefs games, and the Chiefs, if they didn't have Harrison Butker on Sunday, if they just had an all-star rank kicker, they would be screwed. So you can keep your differences aside and and not worry about that, and worry about the Chiefs winning games, because Harrison Butker at the helm for their kicker is an absolute machine. So anyways, to end it off here, a little pop culture for you guys, a little combination with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Taylor Swift is ready for the next era of her life after tour, what she and Travis Kelce want for 2025. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I will sit here and say this. I think this is going to be Travis Kelce's last NFL season, especially if the Chiefs three-peat. I've said this before. I really think that at this point now, he doesn't have anything else left to prove. He's already dating Taylor Swift. They're probably, If they're not engaged, I think they are, but if they're not already, they're going to get engaged, then married. Her tour is going to slow down here at the end of December. I'm sure at some point she's going to want him to slow down. And yeah, he says he doesn't have any plans of retiring, but I think once the season starts to go on, and especially if the Chiefs three-peat, I don't see there's a reason why he would have to come back. You've already won 3 straight Super Bowls. You have 4 Super Bowls. You're going to be arguably going down as the greatest tight end of all time. And T Swift is going to probably wanting him to slow down. But they've had serious conversations about what's next. And I mean, I'm sure, that he'll slow down eventually. And this season, when it comes to a wraps, I'm sure that, I mean, the question will be remain. And like I said, if they win the Super Bowl, I don't think there's any reason why he comes back. But let's end this off here for all the Taylor Swift haters and all the NFL people that they're showing Taylor Swift too much. I already said this before, but we'll kind of roll back here. Taylor Swift is allowed to go to NFL games. She is allowed to be shown on TV. She is the biggest pop star in the world. She is the face of music right now for her fans and for all around the world. There's a reason why that people want to, girls want to watch the NFL now is because of her. And two, for the Swifties out there, you're wanting to learn the game because of Taylor Swift going to the game. Welcome to the NFL. It's a great sport. It's a great league to watch. I know Travis Kelce is on the Chiefs, and Swifties are very lucky because the Chiefs are the best team in the NFL. But still, it's so cool to see communities all coming together and watching the NFL. And Swifties in the comments on social media are watching it now. But people need to stop hating on Taylor Swift going to the game. She is allowed to go to the games. I mean, I had this conversation on social media earlier today. Jonathan Owens is dating Simone Biles. She is a world class gymnast. Jonathan Owens is now on the Bears. He was on the Packers last year, and they showed her. Obviously, she doesn't have the effect like Taylor Swift has, but it's okay for other people to come into the light of football and be shown that are celebrities, that are pop culture stars, that are athletes from other sports. It's okay. I mean, yeah, the NFL shows her a lot, but also too, at the same time, it's marketing, it's revenue. The NFL is going to continue to do this. I don't know if the NFL has a plan if they want Taylor Swift to be performing at the halftime show. Taylor Swift will never perform at the halftime show. It's not, the NFL doesn't pay anyone anyways, but she doesn't need the recognition. She doesn't need the notoriety. But to sit here and say that Taylor Swift is being shown too much, the NFL is marketing. They're doing a great job. And she has brought in over $330 million of revenue from last season. And there's a reason why the NFL is going to continue to show her. And they can show her till the wheels fall off. They even talked about her during the Bears and the Texans game, because the Bears have a player named Taylor, and the Texans had both Bears have the punters Taylor, and their running back is Swift, DeAndre Swift, who was on the Eagles last year. They're going to continue to milk it as much as they can. So, and they're getting a rise out of people because people can't handle it. It's not a big deal. Honestly, I love it because more fans from non-football fans are watching it and go, oh my gosh, they threw a touchdown, or oh my gosh, like her boyfriend plays for the Chiefs, or oh my god, it's fun, I can root for that team, or oh my gosh, she's going to the game. And honestly too, Taylor Swift loves football, so it even makes it more fun, and it's more enjoyable, and all these communities coming together. I love it, and we're not going to stop talking about it. So I think that does it for us, though. As always, guys, make sure to hit that like, subscribe button on YouTube. The Inquisitive Mamba podcast is on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. We talked about the Bryce Young benching. We talked about Travis Kelce and the Chiefs, his slow start. We talked about some college football, some good games coming up this weekend, the Alabama-Georgia game next weekend. We talked about the debate between Caitlin Clark and Sheryl Swoopes, and Angel Reese being brought into that matter as well. The WNBA bringing in an expansion team. We talked about the week 2 NFL recap. We talked about refs versus the refs and pass interference. We talked about it all. NFL, we talked about WNBA, some pop culture with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. So as always, guys, make sure to hit that like, subscribe, comment button. Also, we didn't talk about the Gators because there is nothing to talk about. I my mental sanity, we're not talking about the Gators today. But as always, guys, and make sure to hit that like, subscribe button. We will see you guys next time. Also, too, make sure to follow the Instagram at the Joey Munroe, TikTok at the Inquisitive Mamba Pod. We're almost at 900 subscribers on YouTube. We just hit 1.1 million views. So keep churning, keep liking, and we will see you guys next time.